everyone, it's Silvia from Tarot. Welcome to my channel and welcome to today's huge unboxing slash tarot and oracle decks haul video. So many decks today. It's going to be really exciting. I actually waited to open all these until I received a couple of decks that I had ordered, so I'm quite happy because it's going to be an unboxing and first impression, and we're going to have a look at pairings, we're going to have a sample reading. It's going to be fun. Let's see. Okay, so let's do the easy ones first. This is the Light Years Pocket Tarot in 18 by Chris and Donnelly. I love this deck. It's when it came out, and I'm not talking about the Kickstarter because unfortunately I missed out. And now the prices for that copy, because it had the original Ten of Swords, I believe, have skyrocketed in price, so I am not able to afford one of those decks. However, when it was introduced to the tarot community, thanks to, I think it was Hay House that released it mass market. Yes, it's Hay House that releases the Tarot in 18 as well. It became very popular very quickly, and I think that I'm probably not the only one, but I started using it like a lot every day for every reading. Because back then, you know, it was, it had really good vibes, and it still does. I still really appreciate it. I still really like it. But it just so happens that in many cases, and in this deck, in the case of this deck as well, when I use a deck too much, I don't mean to say that I get used to it, but I get so comfortable with reading it that I kind of start missing out on new perspectives, on new possibility to use it in a different way. And it kind of, you know, makes me, or I make myself miss out on a new way to look at things. And that's not the case when it's a new deck, because with a completely new deck, my mind is more open to pick up on small details, because, you know, it's new, so obviously I'm more attentive, I'm more focused. When it's a deck that I know so well, I tend to not take it for granted, but somehow probably also rely a lot more on what I remember about this deck, about the cards and how they read, and the energy that it's emanating from the deck, rather than, you know, when it's a completely new one. This one, however, is the pocket version, and I don't mean to say that it's got a different energy. Sometimes pocket decks actually do. They share the same original essence of the full-size deck, but they have completely different vibes. That depends a lot on the fact that the images are obviously smaller, and when you do have smaller images, in a way, your eyes, your mind reacts in a different way. So it keeps you on your toes a little bit more, because it's not as easy, as accessible, you know, symbols might be smaller as well. And so it's kind of rekindled that interest that I had, you know, for the original version. However, I did buy the pocket version because A, it's very affordable. If you're in Australia, go to Bybee, because this one is only $16 Australian. Sometimes I feel a bit bitter about buying decks. I got mixed feelings, let's say, buying decks at Bybee, because every time I go to Mind, Body, Spirit festivals in Sydney, I spoke to resellers, and they tell the tale of Bybee and how they're destroying the market by selling under costs and everything. And so we should not support. I know that, you know, it is unfair to creators and resellers as well, obviously, when there's someone that cuts costs that way. But I just so happened to be there, and I saw this, and Amazon is kind of doing exactly the same thing. So it's like, okay, well, but I will still make sure to show it in my channel, and you know, I talk about Chris and how much I like this deck. So I'm kind of putting back, you know, the balance on its original position, at least I hope so. So let's have a look at this deck. So this one is also part of my collection now, because I will be leaving soon for Italy. If you follow my channel, you will know that you know, it's for medical reason basically, and I don't know, I'm very excited, I'm very scared, I'm very anxious about it, but I also know that I will be awake for a few weeks. So what's gonna happen is that I will keep on, all of the videos for my members will not be affected at all. So all of my Read Like a Pro videos, my healing step-by-step videos, my energies of the week videos, and also my members readings videos are not affected. However, depending on how it goes, overseas, I may cut back on a few videos for general public access. I'm still in Australia, I'm still in Sydney now, so the schedule is still the same. So we've got this video today. But it's also because when it's a tiny deck like this, and it's also because it's in a tin, so it's kind of preserving the cards, it's actually easier to take it with me when I'm going, when I'm traveling. When I travel, I usually do a lot of readings for people. I end up, when they ask me what do you do for a living, and we start talking about tarot, and you wouldn't believe the interest in tarot that there is these days out there. And so everyone asks me for a reading, an impromptu reading, and you can imagine that I can't necessarily go around with 3 or 4 full-size decks in my bag because I wouldn't have room enough. But this one, is small enough, and but it's cute enough, it's beautiful, it's very, well, let's say it's not the most diverse deck that I know, but it does have a little bit more diversity than other decks. So I'm kind of, happy to show this deck around and read with this one. So, well, we all know this deck. I don't necessarily need to show you the cards. It's just, I really like this feeling, this compact feeling of holding it in one hand. As you know, I have small hands and I also have some problems due to injuries. So, smaller decks are always welcome because they do kind of make my life easier somehow. It is the usual Light Seers deck. It's got the same colors. I haven't watched any walkthrough of the minis, and I think they're out there if you want to check whether the images are all there, or if we are missing out on some details. Sometimes it might happen, on the borders of the cards. For what I can remember, the colors are just saturated, which is, one of the, let's say, things that I like the most in the Light Seers Tarot because of, look at the colors, it's just absolutely fantastic. So rich, so saturated, so intense and powerful. Definitely part of the art style, of course, because it does rely on that. It relies on other cards, for example, have a little bit more muted color palette. Everything, I feel that everything is intentional. It's a very inspired deck, and it's a very inspiring deck. When you use it as a tarot reader professional, when I use it, I feel that it is more inspiring than other decks. Let's put it this way. It inspires more conversation, it's easier to explain, the message it shows are very complete as well, and they're also very conducive of some kind of a meditation, practice that I can recommend to someone I'm reading for. And it's definitely pleasing aesthetically. So anyway, I love this Queen of Pentacles. So this is the Light Seers Pocket Tarot in a tin. Just become part of my collection. I'm quite happy that it made it. And for such an affordable price. Yes, it is a small deck, but it's such an affordable price. Then, since I was a big W and, I don't really go out, I end up going out perhaps once or twice a week unless I'm doing exercising. And so the one time in which I do go to the big W, I actually look for other decks as well. And I saw this one. So this one, sorry, it's the Messenger Oracle by Ravine Phelan. This is not a new deck. Okay, it's a Blue Angel deck. I think it's a reprint of an even older deck. Let's see if we got any indication of what year this was printed on, but I can't seem to find anything. 2021. Okay, I actually thought it was older than that, but okay. So 2021, and we are in 2024. But this, as I said, is a reprint. The original deck used to have a different box with an owl. Muted tones, I don't have that one, but by memory, I feel like it had an owl on the box. And I am curious to see whether this has been printed on the new cardstock by Blue Angel, because if you watch my video where I talk about, which deck was that? The Soul Mirror. The Soul Mirror is a fantastic oracle deck, absolutely gorgeous to do some shadow and light work, because it does have that duality in the cards themselves. So if you watch that video, you will see that I talk about the cardstock, and I feel that also another couple of staple decks by Blue Angels, like the Lantern Oracle, have been reprinted on a newer kind of stock. And I'm just curious to see. I don't have the older edition, so obviously I wouldn't be able to tell you whether it's the older edition had been printed on an older cardstock. The chances are that it was actually semi-gloss. So having a look at the guidebook, I think the older one had this image on the front, but I'm not entirely sure. So we have a small thumbprint in black and white, the title, and then we got perhaps a couple of paragraphs in which we can read what the interpretation of the card is, and some sentences to do some kind of meditation or reflection. I have to say, this is not entirely my style, but I got it for a reason. I actually bought this one because I knew that there was another deck that was coming, that was going to be delivered, and I was thinking about that deck. And when I saw this one, I thought to myself, it's probably going to pair up quite well. So for now, I'm just going to show you this one, and then we're also going to see it again paired up with the other deck that I was mentioning. And this is definitely it's a silky cardstock. It's a rose petal like cardstock, not as, let me put it this way, it does tend to glue a bit, so it feels like the cards are actually sticking to each other when you fan them out like that. However, not as bad as the worst that we've seen from Blue Angel. And I actually found a couple of remedies for that. So one, I actually owe it to one of my subscribers who recommended the Magician powder. You can find it on Amazon, where, well, I don't know if all the countries, have it in stock in Amazon. In any case, it is a possibility to find it either on Amazon or at a magician store or something like that, if you have those kind of stores where you live. And but also I think that Bybee has been talking about her latest print of the Spirit Keepers Tarot, the Revelation Edition second printing, and before she sent them out, she also sent out a video saying that because of a particular kind of curating the inks, in that particular edition, there was a slight issue with the cards not being sliding one on top of the other like the other editions of the Spirit Keeper. And so she also recommended to take basically a pinch of baking powder and just massage it, but really just a minimal quantity, and massage it on top of the cards over the surface, and then do that on each and every card. And then after that, allegedly you would have a much smoother kind of experience on the cards. So I haven't tried that. I did try the Magician's powder, and that works like a charm. And I haven't tried Bybee's remedy, but I will definitely give it a go. Baking powder is definitely cheaper than Magician's powder, and if the ingredients are the same, I'm happy to give it a try. In any case, it's a beautiful deck. It's got really intense colors. I feel like the decks from today's are all, let's say, very striking in contrast. The color palette is very saturated, which is something that I actually really like. It's got this kind of fae energy, or fae and also fantasy world in a way kind of energy. And you know what I like about this deck? I actually think that every sort of message or key sentence that we find at the bottom of the cards is actually very communicative, because there's an art to that. You can't just put a couple of keywords and think that that's fine. I mean, if we look at pretty much any kind of oracle has got the word abundance, pretty much 99% of Oracle decks have got abundance in their cards, and that's absolutely fine because abundance is a wonderful word. I mean, it's very positive. It brings about feelings of completeness, of overjoy, celebrating with the community, you know, bringing back the fruit of what we've been planting so far. So bring it on, absolutely. But on the other hand, I feel like perhaps we need more decks that show you a different perspective. That's why I love the Soul Mirror Oracle so much, because perhaps it does have the word abundance on it, but it also gives you a bit of a dark, a shadow meaning of the card as well. This one is not so much giving you a duality of interpretation, but it does evoke a lot. It resonates a lot. Observe in silence, for example. Protect the wild and green. Reveal your truth. See the signs. So see the truth, etc. I feel that this Oracle deck is pretty much self-standing. I don't feel like I need to use it in combination with the Tarot or another Oracle deck. I can, of course, and that's something that I'm going to do later, as I promised. However, I do feel like this is very good when you want to pull one card in the morning and do your journaling, do your meditation practice, you know, keep it with you for the rest of the day, put it on your altar, and it's something that will definitely stay with you. And then obviously it needs to resonate as well when it comes to the drawings or the art style, and which I believe, by the way, is very special. It reminds me a lot of the Dreams of Gaia tarot. I don't have that deck, so please excuse me if I'm saying something completely dumb. It might be the same author. I don't know that. It might be the same author or the same artist at least. But in any case, it does remind me a lot of that one, so it feels like it might be the same author. These are the backs, and by the way, I have to say I really dig them. Like, it's I don't know, it's a very compact feel to them. They are reversible if you reverse those in an oracle. I personally tend not to, but I do appreciate the possibility to do so if I so wish. So it's nice. It's a nice deck. The only thing that I have to say every time that I talk about one of the latest Blue Angel is that why do they put, you know, the deck at the bottom and the booklet on top? Because it does have the possibility to get warped, so obviously I have to switch the order all the time, but I really, it's nothing. It's not a complaint, it's just an observation. It's like, why don't you store them this way as well? There might be a reason for that. In any case, so this is, or was, the Messenger Oracle. And then again from Big W, oh, these are all affordable. So the Messenger Oracle was about $22, I believe. This is the very latest publication, also by Blue Angel. Author is Linda Bell. Earth Mother's Oracle Guidance from the Guardians of the Animal Kingdom. I was so excited about this one because at the same time, or more or less at the same time, Rockpool, I believe it's Rockpool, came out with a an oracle deck for children, and it's very similar to this one. So it's got animals. I think it's called Animal Whispers, but I could be completely wrong. But in any case, it's a recent publication for about probably 2 months ago. What happens is that I feel that there was a little bit of a conflict in the tarot community when we looked at the product value, because the booklet, for example, it was held together by 2 stitches, literally 2 stitches, as in, you know, 2 stitches. And it felt like, and it had probably 32 cards, so not that many. So it was meant that to be that way, because I've spoken to the guys at Rockpool. They wanted to introduce this kind of, not necessarily a new category of oracles, but, you know, something more approachable to children. And so it was the Rockpool Oracle version of a kiddies meal, let's put it this way, without publicizing any fast food. But think about it, kiddies meal, a kid's meal, and that's the Oracle version as a thought, you know, as planned by Rockpool. On the other hand, I'm kind of thinking, okay, but there will still be the mothers buying the deck. I imagine, or you know, if not the mothers, but someone close to the child. I don't see a child going out and buying a deck until they have the money to do so. And granted, I don't have children, so it is perfectly possible that a child, when they turn 7 or 8, have got pocket money and they just want to buy something. And I think it's actually really cute, you know, to think in that in these terms, but I'm not entirely sure. And how would they know about this deck? So I'm thinking the primary market, it's still the parents, or it is still someone, you know, an adult that buys the deck for a child, perhaps as a present or to use together. So adults will notice these kind of things, obviously. Why? Because at the end of the day, you need to pay that much money. That is the same amount of money as a Blue Angel deck bought from BW or even from Amazon. It's the same cost as a Rockpool deck that is actually targeting children. And so I'm asking myself, why not making it of good quality anyway? And why presuming that just because it goes to a child, you know, it needs to be of a lesser kind of quality? I don't mean it in any kind of confrontational way, absolutely not. You know how much I love Rockpool decks, and girls at Rockpool are very nice, so that's absolutely not my intention. On the other hand, it does feel like it's, you know, it raises a couple of questions, especially when it comes not you know, concerning the art style or the guidebook itself, but the actual production value. Anyway, I really don't want to get into the merit of that, and I just wanted to say that I was really looking forward to this one because it looks a little bit like that. You can see that from the back, the images on the back. This is very new. It's got 45 cards, which is, you know, anything more than 44, I'm happy. It makes me happy. So, you know, sometimes it's a bit disappointing because, especially Los Carabeo, they are trying to find or dig their own niche position in the oracle market, because they understand that spirituality is definitely calling for more oracle decks. But when they come out with admittedly gorgeous decks, because my goodness, some of the oracle decks from Los Carabeo are absolutely out of this world. However, they only have 32, 33 cards, which is not enough. I can assure you 1000%. The way in which people, readers and practitioners use oracles is, you know, because we want that variety. Most of the time we use them in combination with tarot decks, and therefore, you know, you need, I don't need to say you need 78 cards, but at least 44. That seems to be the common idea, you know, in the tarot community about the minimum number of cards that we would like to see in an oracle deck. This one is 45, so we're happy about it. Really nice. Oh, this is a very silky feel, and it's got the words Earth Mother's Oracle and the guidance for the guardians of the animal kingdom, also in kind of an embossed ink, as well as the name of the author. And let's have a look inside. So that's really beautiful. We've got the thumbprints are in full color, which is very nice. At the beginning, we've got a few, well, we've got an introduction, obviously, and Wuha, the Earth Mothers, etc. So we talk a little bit about the deck, learning from the animals, human-animal connection, and I think I saw a couple of spreads as well. So how to use this deck, meditation, preparing your space, set your intention, card layouts, and yes, then we do have a couple of spreads as well, which is always nice. And 1 year spread, that's really cool. By the way, if you're watching my channel and you're not a member, I invite you to join my membership program. These are the last days for you to receive a complimentary Wheel of the Year reading if you're a Sunlight or a Starlight member, so not the Fairlight members. The Fairlight members is considered more like a supportive kind of membership. But from the Sunlight membership and up, you will receive this Wheel of the Year reading complimentary. And starting from mid or the end of February, I'm offering the 6 months ahead, just because I believe that at the end of February, doing a Wheel of the Year reading is a bit off when it comes to the energies. The 6 months ahead is a lot better. So it's a private reading. It will be a private reading that I will send you with a link to your email. So it's, yeah, it's nice. I mean, we got the image, we got the keywords, we got also what seems to be the name of the Earth Mother, And then on the booklet, we've got a very nice sentence. Here, for example, kindness with Kalika. Give kindness freely and it will come flowing back to you. Be kind to all living things. Be kind to the earth. Be kind to yourself. Wonderful. Then you've got a bit of an explanation of who Kalika is. The kindly earth mother loves and cares for the farmed animal, etc. We got an affirmation. And that's it. Nice. These are the decks that the spiritual community, if not 100% of the tarot community, but certainly the spiritual community is asking for. Decks that we can use in our meditation. Is that Frida? Oh, sorry, I thought it was Frida. No, it's Kaili. So we really want these kind of decks. We find them useful. We don't really need that much information. I mean, just a few basic background stories about who these earth mothers are, who are we talking about, who are we looking at. That's something important, obviously, because it could be evocating, you know, it could be also resonating with people for personal reasons. So it's always very nice also to enrich your knowledge and add an additional layer to the way in which you read cards. And now we're looking at, I'm just going to put it this way because it's so much easier. Then we're looking at the cards. This is slightly bigger than the Messenger Oracle. It's more like a way in between the traditional size of Blue Angel's Oracle decks. Still slightly narrower, let's say, but just as tall. This is a very busy deck. You can see it immediately. It's got a lot of energy. These are the backs. I have to say, I don't know how I feel about them. I do like that there's this kind of a light in the center, however. So it's a very busy deck. It's got a lot of animals. I knew that before I got it because I knew that it was going to have that kind of, you know, depictions and images because it really wants to remind you, it wants to bring you back to that kind of energy that is expressed by accessing the very specific animal energy of these specific animals. For example, when I look at this card and I see that it's Charlotte, the Earth Mother, I imagine it's the Earth Mother of the ocean because obviously we're looking at what you can find in the ocean, or I'm looking at dogs in this case, and so on and so forth. So it's obviously something that is related. Let's see, this is definitely for Australia because we've got Australian animals in here. I think I saw New Zealand as well before that, perhaps. Yeah, we found the kiwi here and another couple of animals that are from New Zealand. So it will be interesting, it would be very interesting to dig into the guidebook and have a look at what it says, what the associations are between the Earth Mothers, the animals that they represent or they also govern in a way. And doesn't she look like Frida? I think she looks like Frida. Maybe it is Frida. You know what? I'm just going, I know that it's not called Frida, she's called Kaili, but because she looks so much like her. So number 28, I'm just gonna quickly have a look. So number 28, luck, Kaili. When you focus on good fortune and positivity, wonderful things happen in your life. Create your own good luck with the unlimited power of your mind. Kaili is the dragon, Earth Mother, the guardian of all dragons. Yeah, do I see that? I see an elephant here. Okay, but these are definitely dragons. This is more like a fox. Perhaps they are dragon-like creatures. It is commonly believed that dragons are creators of abundance and prosperity while bringing forth qualities of courage, power and transformation. Dragons are confident beings, revered and honored, and sometimes feared by the humans who know them for their strength and vitality. Dragons know precisely what they want from life and believe they can have it. They create. Well, Frida was pretty much like that. Sorry, I keep on bringing it back to Frida, but if I think of someone who knew exactly what she wanted from her life, it's Frida Kahlo. They create the luck they embody as they live according to their needs and desires and know that everything they want is right there waiting for them. When Kaili appears in your reading, she reminds you that you can create your own luck. Good luck is just around the corner if you focus on it. While some things in life are beyond our control, there are many outcomes that we can play a part in. The person always expecting hardship will likely keep living it, while those who focus more on joy and abundance will have a greater chance of bringing that to fruition. I think this is 1000% true because, you know, if you I've had a lot of people reaching out this year and telling me that they had a terrible start of the year. And I see you, because I can say the same. So many fires to put out left and right, and this time not one single moment of reprieve. However, on the other hand, I want to still be positive, because you create your own. I do believe that you create, to a certain extent at least, you create your own luck, or at least you know, if you are positive, you gather some momentum, you gather some energy, and when you feel more powerful because of that energy, you have the possibility of achieving more things, and therefore that's how you create your own luck. So I don't know, we can discuss about that. It was going to take days and days of discussion, because obviously there is the power of good intentions, but obviously we need to move on, otherwise this video is going to be very long. But I just wanted to check, because I really I feel like she looks like Frida. She's not, but that's absolutely fine. I love Frida. I probably see Frida everywhere because of that. Okay, so very curious about this deck, very curious to work with this deck, and also finding an oracle deck to pair up, or a tarot deck to pair up with this one. I don't know yet, but let's have a look, because I've got another 3 decks, so there's a lot to talk about. But a deck I am so excited about is this one. Ta-da! So the Penumbra Tarot, Evoke the Liminal Space, created by Eris Elizabeth, guidebook by the lovely Anthony, with the cooperation of Eris Elizabeth as well. This deck has been on my wish list for so long, and then it was just an epiphany, because Anthony reached out wanting to know if I wanted to talk about this deck on my channel or other decks in my channel, and I was like, yes please. I'm not gonna say no to that. Hello. So I am so excited, because I really wanted, so this deck, the reason why it's been on my wish list for a while is, first of all, the artwork and the intensity of the colors. I have been looking for a deck that was giving me enough support, let's say, to work with the liminal energy, the liminal space energies, you know, that kind of vibe that you have in a transitional space. And it's a very niche, I believe it's a very niche kind of product, because you don't have that many decks that help you do that. Not that it's a kind of work that you will want to do every day, unless you're involved in a very specific kind of practice, absolutely. But it's something that, let's see how best to put it, it's very intentional. Let's put it this way. It has a very intentional kind of motivation. It's a very intentional kind of work. So obviously I was looking for something very specific in a deck, you know, that kind of energy, the energy that on the one hand it supports you enough to be able to sustain that moment in which when you find yourself in the liminal space. It's not a space that we're, let's say, used to. It's not something that we see or we work with every day. It's not an energy that is part of our daily tools, let's put it this way. So obviously it needs to be a special deck. It needs to have a special kind of resonance. Now I call it resonance, but it's something that triggers something in ourselves. Perhaps it makes us open the third eye of intuition, because the liminal space is not necessarily something, an object, let's say, that you see under the harsh light of the sun. It doesn't have very smooth, you know, sharp edges. It's something that is actually in between. So even when it comes to approaching this kind of work, you need to be, or to feel at least at ease with these kind of energies, which is something that is not for everyone. And it's also not something you can do out of the blue immediately. You need a lot of instruments and you need a lot of tools and preparation in order to do so, at least in a productive way, let's put it this way. So this one, I believe, I don't have, you know, it's new in my collection, okay? So I don't know whether this is going to let me achieve that or not. I certainly hope so. I have watched a few walkthroughs and I've seen it portrayed on Instagram, for example, other social media platforms, and it definitely looks like it does have that kind of energy. Now, the product value, very, very compact, it's a silky fielded box. I really like it. It's a wraparound with a magnetic closure. It opens this way. and then you turn it around. I love the watercolor. I just absolutely love when it's watercolor with a lot of contrast between the colors. It's obviously subjective, but in any case, whether one likes the art style or not, I think that there's always one thing to say about art style, that you can actually see the soul of the creator. You can always see the soul of the creator. So then, oh, that's a really nice, it's almost like a mandala kind of drawing at the bottom of the box. There's a lotus flower, there's a bee in the center. Sorry, let's see if I can show you a bit better. So it's a bee in the center, there's a lotus flower, and there's, you know, what looks like fish. There's a fish on the, I think they're the petals of the lotus, and then, you know, there's leaves, and there is a kind of a fae-like face. I don't know if you can see that, you probably cannot, but in any case it's right here. If you have this box you can have a look at it and you find it inside. So very nice deck, you know, lovely gilding. I have to say, I just really like it when it's not the usual gold gilding because we are so used to find gold gilding, and in many cases when it's either the gold gilding or the red one. And if you own a collection, if you own a few of those red, let's say glossy red gilded decks, you will know that they chip very easily on the corners. This one is way in between. It's like a very warm kind of orangey gold, but it's a nice change, you know, a nice different color from the ones we're so used to see. But let's have a look at the guidebook first. So I'm just gonna put it here for now. It's a chunky monkey, look at that, my goodness. 2021 guidebook by Anthony with Iris Elizabeth. I hope I pronounced it correctly. I hope it's not Iris Elizabeth. I'm so sorry if I mispronounced that. So it's very compact. It feels almost, it feels like a working book. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't feel like something you don't want to use because you're scared of ruining it. It feels like it's something you actually want to work a lot with. Does it make sense? So let's have a look. Okay, it tells you how to pronounce it. Now that's the way in which I pronounce it is probably wrong, so my apologies for that. Is that that's a Latin word, so penumbra in Latin obviously, and penombra in Italian, so I've been used to pronounce it that way ever since I was born. I feel that penumbra is the right way to pronounce it in English. But in any case, we do have the pronunciation there if you want to be, you know, 100% right about it. It's a space of partial illumination between the perfect shadow on all sides and the full light. As I was saying, that's why you need support, because just your eyes, your, let's say, biological eyes cannot necessarily see things. Whereas when you do open your third eye, you might actually be able to receive that kind of support that you need. A surrounding or adjoining region in which something exists in a lesser degree, a fringe, fair enough, or something that covers, surrounds, or obscures a shroud. Okay, that's interesting. I think we're going to focus on the first meaning, but also the second one sounds like it can be food for thought, let's say. Now we've got, so the index says using the deck, card meanings section, elemental tarot deck, tarot activities, tarot spreads. I always like when there's spreads. Then we obviously have a look at the major arcanas. Then I see there's one renaming of the wand. So we got the swords, and then we got the torches, which is a renaming for the suit of wands. Then we got the cups and the pentacles. And then we got about the authors, so Anthony and Iris, sorry about that. And the deck's journey. Using the deck and book, as we said, sections in the card meanings, legacy, apogee, perigee, song. Ooh, it's got a song? Oh, nice! A playlist is available on Spotify when you search for Penumbra Tarot. That's amazing! So guys, if you have Spotify, you can search for Penumbra Tarot, and there'll be a playlist. I absolutely love pairing up songs and tarot. Unfortunately, we cannot do that on YouTube because of property rights problems. Obviously, if it's a copyrighted music or song, my videos will be literally taken down. So obviously I cannot put any kind of copyrighted music in it. I'm sure you all know this because there's a lot, especially when it comes to YouTube gamers. They complain about that all the time, that sometimes games have a copyrighted music in the background and, you know, and they can't play that, they can't show that because otherwise it will be taken down. So Elemental Tarot Deck Blessings. Yeah, that talks about the ritual of blessing. Absolutely. There's multiple ways in which you can, you know, baptize your deck or bless your deck. Blessing instructions, you can obviously choose to follow these or do your own. And then first impressions activity. I like this because it tells you how to build a connection with your deck, which is amazing. I'm really excited about this, and it's got a few spreads. So Elementals Guidance Tarot spread, to gain wisdom in any situation. What the Earth Guardians want me to do. Well, there you go. I got the deck for the Earth Mothers. What the Air Guardians, the Fire Guardians, the Water Guardians, and what the Spirit Guardians. So we've got the element of Ether as well. The Spirit Guardians want me to know. That is very interesting. I might actually try that because I also have the Elemental Oracles by Welbeck. So let me see. I love it when there's a tarot deck that actually inspires me to use it in a different way. And then obviously we've got the cards. So we've got the Legacy, the Reversed Meaning, which is always very nice to have. I don't shuffle reversals, but I do read them. Apogee, Perigee, and Song. That's going to be really interesting. Let's see if it's got the same with also with the Minor Arcana. So let's pick a Minor Arcana. The Seven of Swords, of course, because I'm an Aquarius, so of course it has to be the Seven of Swords. So Legacy. Yep, we got the Legacy. We got the Reverse. We got also the Apogee, Perigee, and Song. Absolutely. So we got the same amount of writing. So you got a couple of pages here, which is always nice. You got a full page in color for the card. And I seem to remember there's a couple of bio info at the end. Yep. So we got news or a bit of bio for Anthony and Eris. That's very interesting. And the journey of the deck. It's always very interesting because it tells me what the intention is. And that's always a kind of important whenever you approach your deck, your new deck for the first time. You kind of want to know what the intention of the creators was when they sat down, you know, at the desk and they started talking about it and they created this miracle, because it's always a miracle. When it's a successful deck, it's a miracle. There's no two ways around that. So now let's have a look. Okay, so we've got a couple of intro cards here, one and one at the back. Oh, okay, so we've got also another spread. Yeah, so interview your new tarot deck. That could be interesting. We could do that instead. Now this one, I don't know what this is. Divine by the Moon and Create a Magical Year. Tarot by the Moon. A free guide with 33 pages of astrological new and full moon tarot spreads. Wow. That you can use with your favorite tarot or oracle deck. That's in Anthony's website. So absolutely have a look, check it out, because this looks really, really interesting. So it would be really cool to have a look at what that says. And this is the deck. So it's slightly, let's say, slightly, not so much, but slightly bigger than the tarot, at the standard tarot size, which is, you know, this is a Rider-Waite. So from US Games, and let's have a look. Slightly wider, slightly taller, not crazy bigger, so not oracle size. Very good cardstock, I may say. Very silky, papery finish, very, very nice to the touch. The tactile feel, as you know if you watch my channel, is extremely important for me. And very sturdy, feels very sturdy. These are the backs, by the way, gorgeous backs. I don't know if I can show you. If I tilt the cards this way, you will see it catches the light because it's got this kind of foil work on the backs, and this is exactly the same color as the edges. I don't know if you can tell. So very nice presentation, very very nice product value, I have to say. And really, I love these colors. I love the intensity, you know, the saturation of the colors. It's just absolutely fantastic. The expression. Oh, look at this hermit card. It's amazing. I love how there is this kind of contrast in the cards because of the color palette. It's obviously something that, you know, comes to mind the first time you look at the deck. It's always by the somatosensorial approach to it. So our brains obviously have a different kind of level of perception of things. The very first thing you do as a person is to judge something about what the thing looks like, what the object looks like. Sometimes we do that with people as well. It's just that obviously we know, and there is so much more than appearances. But the aesthetics are always very important in the deck. There's no two ways around that, because it does stimulate, as I said, our somatosensorial cortex. So obviously we do have a lot of, you know, neurons firing in the brain right now, because we're looking at the cards, we're liking the colors, we're liking the contrast and everything. And it already tells us something. It tells us a story. Look at the Ten of Swords, and you know that the Suit of Swords is very important for me. I really appreciate when, especially the 3 and the Ten of Swords. Okay, the Three of Swords is more traditional in the sense that we still see, let's say, this piercing of the swords in the direction of the heart. It doesn't necessarily show you the heart alone, but we do have this kind of sense of this piercing of the heart. I do read numerologically, so obviously for me, the Suit of the Swords is the suit of the mind. So number 3, numerologically speaking, indicates the growth in the suit of the mind. It brings about, you know, the sense of growing, but also that sense of moving on from a situational stall, because you come from the Two of Swords in which you find yourself having to take a decision and not necessarily having all the information that you need. And so you're also blindfolded, so most of the time. So obviously you feel like you're kind of pushed towards one direction or another, but you don't have you don't have the state of mind. You haven't reached the state of mind that is necessary in order to be able to feel confident in turning one way or the other. And after that moment of confusion, the Three of Swords is the consequence of that, because to the duality of the two, it adds up and it grows into the element of air. So obviously you have this approaching this sense of confusion and this loss of control over things, because you didn't know, you don't necessarily have any more information than you did before, and yet you feel that the time has gone, and you're kind of finding yourself in a situation you don't necessarily know how to react to. And then, you know, in the evolution of the Suit of Swords, I think that over all of the minor arcana, the Suit of Swords is the one that has the most didascalic kind of refigurations, because it does tell you a story. All of the minor arcana tell you a story, absolutely. There is an evolution there, but the Suit of Swords is probably the one that I like the most for this reason. And I do appreciate a Ten of Swords that does not show me someone, you know, stabbed in the back and laid down, covered in blood, and, you know, the end. That's, yes, it is rock bottom in many cases, but it's also the completion of the Suit of Swords. So it's the way in which you reach number 10. It's the evolution. You actually learn from your past experiences. You've been through a lot, because let's think about the Three of Swords and the Four of Swords and the 5 and the 6, and you reach number 10 in which you necessarily have made treasure of all the experiences you have been through. So I really like when a tarot is elemental and gives me the possibility to read, you know, with that kind of elemental focus, but also numerological focus as well. Is that a spider? Ah, it's a spider. You all know what I think about spiders. But I'm working on it. It's just that I moved away from the coast, and in the coast, I used to see a huntsman spider as big as my hand, and I kid you not, almost every week, and I was over it. Even my cats were not fighting it anymore. They were like, yeah, I can see you, but you know what? I'm 14 years old, I'm old, so yeah, I'm not gonna fight you. So at the beginning they were actually chasing the spiders, but now they were like, I'm not gonna get bothered by that. Really beautiful, very elemental. I have to say, the energy that comes out of the cards in this approach Looking at them like that is a very elemental approach, and I really, really like it for that. I think that there's a reflection of the elements even in the choice of colors. There's a predominance of a certain color, green color, for example, for the Pentacles, which is the suit of the earth. So obviously we've got that. There is a renaming, sorry, I forgot to notice that, my bad. So there is a renaming in the court cards. So we've got Element of Pentacles for the Page of Pentacles, Agent of Pentacles for, well, obviously for each and every suit. So Agent instead of Knight, Crown instead of Queen, and a Throne instead of King. And that is what we've seen in the box. You remember when I said that it was a fey-like figure? It's actually Carnunno, I think it's called. You will excuse me, my pronunciation of Celtic words is just absolutely abysmal. But we do see that every now and then in let's say the Celtic legends. Now, the reason why I was also so excited about this deck is because I have a couple of decks, Oracle decks, that I want to pair it with. So what I'm going to do for now, I'm just going to shuffle this. So I have to say that it shuffles really well. It's the kind of cardstock that it doesn't have any, let's say, stickiness problems. The cards don't stick to each other. They really slide very easily one on top of the other, as you can see. Because of, well, my hands are small, so obviously I have to overhand shuffle this way. But if you have slightly bigger hands, you can definitely overhand this way instead. And I reckon, you know, if you have bigger hands, you can probably also refill and bridge shuffle with ease. But let's see now, enough of the shuffling. Let's see, because I wanted to show you how, let's say, this one, I think, pairs up well for the purpose of working in the liminal space. I think that it works well with the deck that I bought exclusively to match up with this. Sorry about the noise, and it's this one. So this is the Liminal Spirit Oracle, Witch of Spirit cards by Laura Tempest Sarkroff. It's a Llewellyn, yes, it's a Llewellyn release, and it's from a few years ago, I reckon. I can't really find the year. It should be here somewhere, but no, can't find it. Anyway, it's been out for a couple of years, I'm pretty sure of that. I never got it, but I'm quite happy to have it now because I really look forward to try and see if it pairs up well with this deck. So you know how important it is for me to find an Oracle deck or a Tarot deck that pairs up well with another deck. It's kind of giving me an ulterior motivation. It's kind of giving me that additional, you know, happiness, that additional layer. So it makes me happy to use them together because I can definitely, you know, find other ways to use the decks. Other than reading or divination or meditation. When you pair two decks together, you double your possibilities. So as always, it's a Llewellyn deck, so very, I imagine, I don't know yet, but I imagine very glossy cardstock, which is absolutely fine. Very nice book as always. So we are in the liminal space, so obviously all of these objects, star for example, we do have time. That's a beautiful card, look at that. So it does have a little bit of a description of the, well, the thing that is represented on the card, and then it's got a couple of messages. And I just really feel that these two will share a kind of a common energy, and therefore I think that they will pair up together rather well. So let's just give it a quick shuffle. So these are the backs. I think that also when it comes to the aesthetics, we'll be able to check that out immediately. So I think that the aesthetics will pair up well together as well. The art style, the aesthetics when it comes to the color palette for sure. When it comes to the art style, we'll just have to wait and see. But let me just see. Wow, that's a good start. That's a strong start. Okay, gee. Do you feel it already? There's a lot of energy coming out of these two. Obviously, we're talking about two decks, but for now we have three, let's say, groups of cards. So there's already a lot of energy. However, let's not forget something. So we're still talking about liminal space, a liminal space. So the liminal space is, as we said before, is the name Penumbra Tarot is very apt to the liminal space, because it is that zone, that area where we don't see things with under the harsh light of the sun. So we don't necessarily see the edges of things, of objects, we just see sort of, we have a spatial perception of things, but we don't necessarily gather all the information we would had we been under the sunlight. So that, on the one hand, is, let's say, taking something away from the eyes, but because of that, it's actually opening up another way of looking at things, so a different perspective, an intuition. And that's exactly what I wanted out of a deck for that specific purpose. And this kind of work, so the Penumbra Tarot, or the liminal spirit oracle, so that kind of liminal work you do or the kind of introspective work you do in the liminal space, is the kind of work that you can do for multiple reasons. One is, for example, to support your shadow and light work, because it's something that exists in between. But also when you come out of a very intense session, for example, of a reading for your personal growth. Say you've just done a little bit of journaling, a little bit of meditation, and it's been very intense. You have been brutally honest with yourself, and you're not entirely sure you're ready to get back into the world that has no idea what you've done. So this is something that will take you in the in-between. And you can do it in preparation of that kind of work, but you can also do it to prepare yourself to get out of that kind of state of mind. So just to have a look, we've got the forest. So because it doesn't really have a keyword for now, being it the first time that I use it, I actually have to go back to the guidebook and see what the explanation of that card in specific is. Okay, so it's not in alphabetical order. It actually is grouped in different categories. So we see right, places, trees, herbs, scales, slither and swim, wings, fur, fauna, artifacts, and that's it. So we've got forest at page 45. And here we are. Sorry, I was actually there. Forest. Many people mistake forests as being quiet places, but from its fertile floor to the highest branches, the forest is a community constantly in motion. The multitude of beings feed into a greater collective consciousness. Entering the forest requires being respectful of the world you enter while keeping your wits about you, lest you be led astray and quickly lose your way. Well, yeah, if you've ever gotten lost in a forest, I can assure you the sense of panic climbs up very quickly, especially if it's a very thick one and perhaps you don't have a lot of light. Everything will look the same if it's the first time that you're there and you get lost. It's very scary. And I do not recommend getting lost in the forest at all. So it does bring about that sense of liminal space though, doesn't it? Because it is that moment in which you're actually leaving something behind and you're kind of in a space in between. So I really like this kind of association. So we've got it here between the Three of Pentacles, which is suggesting that kind of bringing your own skills to the team building work, because you are reaching something, you're working on a project with someone else. But we all need to actually contribute in an equal way to attain the completion of a project we care about. And so there's, the mind, the hive mind, let's say, the individuality in society. So being aware of who's around you and what their skills are. So be appreciative of their skills because they complement your own. And having the concept of the forest, that tells you that you're in that space in which you're kind of surrounded by something that is so much bigger, so much older, so much more eternal than you. And yet your presence is still felt, because your presence is at the center of your life at this moment, and you're kind of, meandering your way, and sometimes you think you're lost and you're kind of trying to find it back. So you have been called to bring your own contribution in the forest as well. You need to keep your wits about you, as the card was saying, because that's the way for you to actually keep on going. So seems to be a reinforcing of this card, in the sense that in the liminal space, that's the kind of work that you're doing. So it invites you to really be fully aware of your potential and your skills and your participation in the greater scheme of a project of the world or society as well, just as much as you do that in the Three of Pentacles when you work together with someone else. But at the same time, we've got the Crown of Swords. So the Crown of Swords is the Queen of Swords, it's the renaming for the Queen. And obviously, you know, you can read it as the archetype of the Judge. So the Queen of Swords is the person that has achieved that kind of maturity in the mind. And they bring that with themselves, that kind of resilience. They have been through the forest. The Queen of Swords is someone that has been through the forest. And let me tell you, they probably got lost a couple of times. But because they could achieve that peace of mind thanks to all of the experiences, the evolution that you see during, you know, their journey through the Suit of Swords, they also survived. So they have fine-tuned their skills in order to be able to keep their wits about them and contribute to the work in the team, let's say. So as you probably noticed, this is not the same kind of work that I generally do when I have two decks. It is very much specific of this kind of liminal space kind of work. So you don't see things clearly, but you do have a suggestion of things. So we've got Ocean between the Ace of Pentacles and the Two of Torches. By the way, I love this. So beautiful, this card. It's gorgeous. Let me just read about it, because I love that it's breaking the fourth wall and it's kind of looking towards the reader in a kind of an acknowledgement. So Torches is basically wands. So let's find the wands. Ten of Swords, nope. Four of Torches, Two of Torches, Legacy. Now is the perfect time to put a great plan together and look at things from the big picture perspective. Be bold and declare what your goals are to yourself and the universe. You are capable of great things, so don't sell yourself short. Absolutely. Absolutely love this interpretation, not selling yourself short. You know, the usual way of depicting the Two of Swords, in which someone holds their whole world into one hand and they see and they realize for the first time that it's too small for them. They have outgrown their own world, and therefore the only way to go is forward, but outside as well. And I really love that. You are capable of great things. You do have it within yourself, that fiery energy, but also because it's the Suit of Fire, it's got the potential of being a creative fire. Together with the Ace of Pentacles, that really refers back to the element of earth, which is also bringing about that sense of grounding. Whereas the ocean suggests that sense of dynamic nature or essence of water. Loving these two together, absolutely. It feels like they really complement each other. They have that kind of echoes and resonances that you can find in the colors, for example. But also, as I was saying earlier, the art style is not that different. So, wow, look at this, for example, these two cards, so similar. Really liking these two together. I'm quite happy that I found... I'm quite happy that I received this deck, the Penumbra Tarot, but I'm quite happy that I found an Oracle deck that actually pairs up really well with the Tarot. And also because I mentioned earlier that the other Oracle deck that I've acquired, the Messenger Oracle, I think it may pair up well with the Penumbra Tarot as well. So let me just give it a go. You know, sometimes I have a feeling for a pairing and it might not work out. I don't know if I shuffle this. I don't think I have. So let's just give it a quick shuffling. Okay, so what I'm going to do now instead, I am going to use the spread that is actually suggested. It comes with the tarot deck, the interview with the new deck. I think that there's at least a couple of dozen ways to interview a new deck, you know, and it's, oh, I forgot to put this one in, sorry. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I am going to pick up the card again that had that spread. Where is it? I think interview your new tarot deck. So let me see if I need to make some room, probably. And I'm just gonna leave it here, you know, to keep it in such a way that it can be seen, but it doesn't take too much room. And then we are just going to choose, so that's 5 cards, but I'm also going to choose an oracle card. Let's see. Because sometimes the oracle card can actually give you a very specific key in order to change perspective on the way in which you would read the other cards. I don't know if it makes sense, but I will show you. So 5 cards, 5 cards, 5 cards. These are so beautiful. I can tell you the backs, I really, really love them. So 1, 2, okay, no, I don't necessarily read jumpers, so sometimes when a card is too eager to be read, I'm like, no, you're waiting for your turn, I don't feel like reading you right now. Okay, here we go, so we got 5 cards there, so now I am just going to pull a card from the oracle deck. Say this one. No, there's 2. Okay, this one here. And we are going to, so basically I'm going to, let's see, flip this one, protect the wild and green. That's interesting. So it seems to suggest a way, a key of interpretation for the cards that I'm going to lay out for the interview, of protection. So it's a protective kind of energy, protect the wild and green. Obviously we need to protect nature for its own essence. So now we're looking at 1, 2, sorry, 3, 4 and 5. Let's see if everything fits in the frame. Let's do it this way, it should be okay, hopefully. Okay, so we've got 1, I'm just gonna flip them all. The 7 of Cups, then we got the 9 of Pentacles, then we got 3 here, let's put it this way, with the 10 of Torches and the Agent of Cups, and then we've got here the Justice card. That's very interesting, I can see that already. This deck and I are going to have very interesting conversations. Let's see, everything should fit. So let's start the reading. Number 1, what kind of reading will you excel at? The 7 of Cups. So it seems to suggest that whenever there is a situation of impasse, so whenever you cannot make up your mind, you have, you know, you're kind of embarrassed because the choice is so abundant. And obviously being the Suit of Cups is the suit of the heart, of the emotions and the feelings. And you do look at the things that are on offer in front of you, and everything is communicating some kind of feelings to you, but you're a bit confused, you're not necessarily ready to take decisions yet, because you also know that some of these things are not necessarily good for you. So it seems to suggest that whenever I find myself in a situation in which I don't necessarily know where to go, what direction to take, or what to choose, this deck can actually help me. And that goes without saying, it's definitely going back to the work you can do in the penumbra, so in the liminal space, that can definitely give you that kind of support. What are your strengths as a tarot deck? The 9 of Pentacles. That to me is the card of the wish come true. Obviously, I think it's referring back to the fact that I had it in my wish list for a while, and I really wanted to try and use this deck, and it came to me at the right time. So obviously, the strength also, when you point it as, you know, what is the deck's strength in a reading, in this case it will show you that you can actually manifest what your intention is. It will help you and it will support you manifesting what your intention is, you know, when it comes to these kind of readings. What are you here to teach me? The 10 of Torches. You know, this is a bit of perhaps very personal kind of advice for me, because teachings are always advice. So it's kind of teaching me to perhaps not take everything upon my shoulders. This is obviously, it's, as I say, every time that I do a reading, you guys know, if you watch my channel, if you've seen my videos, you always know there is no such a thing as a sample reading. I always seem to be channeling some kind of energy or another. This is telling me that I've done way too much, and I know that. Thank you. I know that. I've taken upon my shoulders everything related to this trip that is coming up, and I have so many million things to do, and I'm taking care of everything for myself, my husband, my friends on the one hand, other friends on the other side, and relatives on the other side, and you know, and the cats, and I was telling my husband last night that I know that he's really busy at work, absolutely. But I was like, it's also my birthday and you're not lifting a finger. And I was really frustrated. And, you know, and I'm preparing my birthday. I'm organizing everything. I'm inviting all the people. I'm finding a venue. Thankfully, there's a dear friend of mine who's celebrating her birthday together with mine. And she's actually the one that is over there and is taking care of all these things. So at least she's saving me in the sense that she's giving me a bit of a respite when it comes to these kind of things. But I was really kind of feeling like, oh, I'm so tired, because at the end of the day, when I pick up everyone else's burden, I might not be able to advance, not even with my own burden, because I've got too much on my shoulders. So that's definitely, you know, this deck is going to teach me not to do that. Possibly. How can I connect best with you? With the Agent of Cups. Now this is, if I remember correctly, the agent is the page. Let me just have a look, double check. No, so the agent is, in the court cards, is the knight. I should have known, because agent implies the sense of action. Agent, action. Comes from the same word in Latin, and obviously in the suit of the heart. That's perfectly fine. I mean, we can collect on an emotional level. I'm actually looking for a deck like that because I'm an airy person. There's no two ways around that. I have 90% of my planets are air, so obviously I need a little bit of water, absolutely. So we can actually connect on that, on the one planet that I have, my one water planet that I have. We can definitely decide to connect thanks to that. What card sums you up the best? Oh, me. Me. That's justice. Wow. Thank you. I think this is my target, my goal. This is what I want to be. This is not what I am. The consequences within society. This is the card of consequences within society. So whatever you have done so far, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, everything, you know, everything is coming to fruition, but everything is also asking for, you know, taking responsibility. And I strive to be like that. I do. I really do. I strive to become that kind of person. I think that no one can actually be 100%. You know, embodying the energy of the Justice card all the time, because it's a very grounded, so obviously it's a very grounded kind of card. There is nothing that weighs more than the other. You always end up putting everything in the two dishes of the you know, of that kind of scale, and everything has to be meted out, and everything has to be considered, you know, equally. And we all want to be like that, don't we? But we don't always succeed. So we are human beings. I mean, we have to accept that. But I really love this reading, and I actually really like the way it pairs up with this oracle deck, with the messenger oracle. So I'm quite happy about this pairing. But let's have a look. I have one other deck to show you today, and it's been a long video, so bear with me. Another deck. Let's see. Okay, so I was lying. But you know that by now. I always lie. If I say it's 10, it's always 11. If I say 6, it's always 7. If I say that it's the last deck, it's always 2. Sorry about that, but I actually forgot that I had to show you this deck as well. I hope you don't mind. It's the Circle of Doors Tarot. This is a fantastic deck created by Anne Stavely and Jill Sutherland. Guidebook written by Brian Duffy. If you are familiar with the Burning Man, I think it's in... Is it in the Nevada? I think it's in the Nevada desert, okay? It's an event spanning over a few days in the desert, where it's very artistic. There's a lot of artistic representation of, you know, works of art and stuff like that. And there's also a lot of spirituality. Performing artist, and there's also tarot reader, I think, because I do know a couple of subscribers, actually, some of you that that you go yearly to Burning Man and as tarot reader. So, and I envy you so much, because I would love to go there. They did this kind of performance installation, let's call it. And they also, I believe that there's also a YouTube video about it, but I'm not entirely sure. I have, let's say, waited for so long to acquire this deck because I wasn't sure about it. I just, I saw it everywhere, and I really felt like I really wanted it. And then I just, at the moment, you know, when you find yourself, you put something in the cart and you go in and you just hesitating and your finger hovers around the, over the buy button, and you just can't convince yourself to do that. That's what I felt. And but I'm glad that I did at the end. I actually found it thanks to you know, one of the Facebook groups, swap, sell, trade Facebook groups in Australia. So I don't have to pay through the nose for shipping, and we like that when we don't have to pay through the nose for shipping. It's a photographic deck. Now let me spare a couple of words, because if you don't know me, I need to explain. I have been working with photography well, pretty much all my life, first as a passion, then as a job. So I was for 5 years I have been producing a TV documentary on photography in Australia. If you are in Australia, it's called Snap Happy. It was aired on Channel 10 for 4 years, let's say 5 years, and then we're just airing it in there's a YouTube channel as well. So this let's say my approach to photography is very old. Okay, I'm not a spring chicken. I'm not hiding that. So I actually started with photography when I was, I think, 8 years old. So it's been a while, guys. It's been 40 years. And that means that I am quite familiar with the older kind of techniques. So there was no digital back then, fair enough. And but we still had this kind of technique. So this, okay, I'm just gonna pick one card, and perhaps I'm just gonna zoom in a little bit just to show you a little bit better what I'm talking about. That's too much, thank you. All right, so as you can see, it looks like it's a stacking of different images, one on top of the other. Okay, so nowadays what you would do, you would have 3-4 images on your Photoshop or whatever other software you use, or even your app in the phone, because nowadays you can actually do this kind of thing on your phone as well. What would you do is you choose the base layer, then you put all the other photos on top with the different name of the layer, because you need to work on them if you want to and retrieve them easily. And then you choose the way in which you do the blending. So the blending is basically deciding what part of the photo that is on top will be overlapping, and what way would it be overlapping, and how, and with which intensity, let's say. And then you decide the grade of or the percentage of which you want to apply that kind of overlapping. So this is kind of transparent in the sense that you can definitely tell at least, I'm gonna say 1, 2, at least 3 images. So there is this person holding what looks like a box, a music box with, I'm not too sure, something inside. And there's this crown-like figure of seashells, and then there is this house. Okay, so there's at least 3, there might be more. So these 3 images have been stacked one on top of the other. They have chosen a different way of blending them. They have chosen a different percentage. That's what you would do nowadays when you use digital photography and you use a software in your computer or in your phone. However, when we did not have digital photography, we used to do this all the time. Why? Because we thought it was cool. And it's actually called the sandwich technique. It's obtained in the camera obscura. So when you're at the developing stage of your processing of the photos, you basically choose to project, let's call it this way, 3 stacked negatives onto only one film. Okay, so that's the technical way in which you were doing sandwiches before the digital era. So I'm very familiar with the technique. Now, my hesitation, and I have to say it because this story actually has a happy ending, so I'm happy to say this. At the beginning, my impression was that because I come from the days of old, when we were doing the sandwich technique 40 years ago, we actually had a very strong intention. So you need a very clear purpose in which you choose the photos to associate and to stack one on top of the other. If you don't have that, you risk, or the risk is to have something a bit confusing, something that doesn't really go together, something that can be misleading to the eye of the person that looks at the photo, at the final result. So, having said that, I just wanted to say that it's not that easy. Okay, the process itself can be easy nowadays because you just click a few things, you choose a few things, you click on a few more things, and that's done. I'm not saying that it's technically difficult. What is difficult is to achieve intention every time. So it's to transform something, to actually show something that has a soul. That is not easy, okay? No matter who you are, no matter what your technical knowledge is, it's not easy. Having said that, when I got the deck, at the beginning I was like, I don't know, some photos definitely, the 7 of Knights is fantastic. I really love the intensity of the gaze of this person looking, again, breaking the fourth wall, and you know, the directionality of the knives as well, but leaving the eyes free to see, because there is this confrontation, this invitation to confrontation, and and basically acknowledging that the 7 of Knives, it's the kind of situation you find yourself in because you have been forced to do these kind of things. So you're not a thief, you are clever. I love this. But I couldn't really find the same kind of intention or purpose in all of the cards. I could feel that there was such an intense power, a flow of power in these cards that was very enticing, that was very conducive of, you know, creating that kind of bridge of intention between your intention and the intention of the creators, and using the deck as a tool to manifest that. But I was missing something. And it was probably just myself missing something. I'm not saying that the deck was missing something. I was missing a way to channel this kind of intention or this purpose. So I decided to pair it up with another deck. And you know that I love pairing up decks. And so I started pairing it with this one, which is the Sacred Nature Oracle. This is the mass market edition. This deck, together with the Circle of Doors, is an absolute must. It just works. It just works really, really well. It's very intuitive, but at the same time, it's very powerful. It is manifesting its own power. It's not shying away from it. Let me see if I can zoom out just a little bit, not to be too cramming the frame. By the way, I am apologizing about the noises in the background. I will try and filter them out, you know, when I'm processing the video, but my apologies first. So I'm just going to quickly show you, because these two together are absolutely fantastic. You see, I also pay attention to directionality sometimes. This Maiden of Shells, the Liberator, is actually looking up towards the character of the absorption card with the bladder wrack, and it's literally just holding the new baby. So there is this sense of breaking through a barrier. The Liberator is breaking through a barrier and achieving this transformation with a new life, which is basically related to the cycle of life in the Wheel of Fortune. I really appreciate it when a pairing, like what I did before, the Penumbra Tarot and the Liminal Space Oracle or the Messenger Oracle, I really appreciate it when a pairing gives me the possibility to add a layer of knowledge or interpretation or also enjoyment, you know, to a deck. Because let's face it, sometimes we like to play with our decks. It doesn't always have to be something serious. It is always positive, because even playing with decks is something positive, but it doesn't always have to be shadow work. It doesn't always have to be for personal growth. Sometimes you can just want to look at the cards and how they pair up well together, like in this case. So I'm very happy about these two together, and looking forward to work with this. And I have to say that pairing them up actually provided me with that something that I was missing when I first had a look at the Circle of Doors Tarot. Absolutely fantastic. But this time I'm not lying. Actually, I'm going to show you the last deck for this really big tarot and oracle decks haul. So this is the deck. It's a Kickstarter reward. It's called the Liberation Tarot. Sorry about my L's and my R's are difficult for me. We pronounce it in a completely different way in Italian. So R's are much more rolling, And so when I don't have to roll an R, I can't say it and it becomes an L. So don't ask me why, it is what it is. So this deck, as I said, it's a very interesting project, and to be honest with you, I backed it, so it was a Kickstarter. I backed it when I was away, it was overseas, and I only had my phone with me. I didn't have my reading glasses with me, so I have absolutely no idea what the cards actually look like, because I had a vague, blurry idea of what they look like. Yeah, and now it's here, and I'm very, very excited about it, but at the same time I'm also, oh my god, what have I done? I have backed a few Kickstarter last year, and apart from one, I think they all been delivered so far. I'm waiting on one, which I'm very excited about, and that one actually I know what it looks like. Let's say 99% of the cases I know what a deck looks like when I back it on Kickstarter or when I buy it. It's just that this time, honestly, I can't lie, I actually don't know. I know that it's a cooperation. I know that there's several artists that have been participating in the creation of this deck, and let's have a look. So I haven't seen it. Okay, do you have this deck? Because being in Australia means that all the Kickstarters, unless they launch from Australia, they get to us last. Like literally, people wait months for us to receive the deck, which is fine. Okay. Okay. Sorry, I just saw this and I thought, is that black and white? And I thought, no. Some of the cards are in black and white. I don't think all of them are. So Liberation Tarot, we don't have, this is the guidebook that comes with, we don't have the thumbprints, but that's fine. We have the cards, we don't need the thumbprints. We do, however, need a little bit of introduction, especially when there's a renaming of the suits. Two of flowers. Is that pentacles? And then spirals. So what spirals? And blades, that's swords for sure. And that's it. What's the other one? Vessels. Vessels is cups. I think spirals might be wands. Then, okay, it will be interesting. In any case, I like that there is the name of the author. So, for example, for the World card, we've got art by Jennifer Moon and Jared Hood. And this image description, oh, awesome. Thank you for that. I really love that. There's the image description. I don't ask for much. Image description if it's something non-RWS clone. Love that. Thank you. And then, okay, interesting. For further incantation, see my May. Ooh, Bersenbrugger poem, singing from her collection A Treatise on Stars. Okay, that's gonna be interesting. So there is a lot of intention in this deck, obviously, because being a corporation there has to be, otherwise it's not cohesive. I think that you can see that in many 78 tarot productions. I like some of them, I really do, but most of them I think that they're not very cohesive. That's one of the risks when you have too many artists with different media, using different media, let's say. Okay, I will have to spend some time, you know, and this is just an unboxing, so I will have to spend some time going through this guidebook, because I feel that it's going to be very important for me to not form any kind of impression before I actually know the purpose of the deck. I'm just going to show it to you today. So this is the two-part box with the foam inside, so the cards don't jump around. It's gilded with this fantastic, if I may say, I love this teal color. This color between green and blue is actually my favorite one, and it's very difficult to achieve this kind of color. It's got these are the backs, by the way, reminding me of the Wanderer Star somehow. Let's have a look. So I'm gonna have to open it. So I had to be very careful because I didn't want to scratch the gilding. It's a matte gilding, very beautiful, I have to say. I absolutely love this color. I don't know if the camera shows you the shade of this teal color. It's absolutely fantastic. Through the camera it looks more blue. I can assure you 100% in real life it's actually a bit more greenish. So it's beautiful. It's very beautiful. And let's have a look at the cards. So, well, first of all, the cardstock, yeah, very sturdy. This is the kind of rose petally kind of cardstock that doesn't have any stickiness problem. So I wish that Blue Angel will definitely adopt this kind of quality. Don't necessarily know whether it's a luxurious one. It might be expensive, I don't know. Obviously we're looking at Blue Angel is a mass market publisher, so sometimes just cannot do that, because then they will have to change the price point and we will not be very happy about it, now will we? Okay. Some of the majors have been renamed, as you can see. Love this one, by the way, really beautiful colors. There's also a bit of different mixed media, let's say. There's, you know, I seem that I've seen watercolor, yep, watercolor, pencils and collage, for example. But there's also photography in black and white. Okay. This is a deck that is going to take me a while to get into, not because I don't appreciate it, because I do. I have really positive vibes while I'm looking at it. I love this deck card. Oh, we take them all with us, inside of us. That's beautiful. Okay, it's going to take me a while. It's going to take me a while because I don't want to rush through this. The shadow, interesting. So this is the devil, renamed the shadow, but obviously we see the two aspects. So I'm thinking it's shadow as in opposition to light as well. That's beautiful. That's a nice way to portray the devil. And chaos, the star. So normally, when it comes to a new deck, what I generally do, this is like a Dali painting, what I generally do, and this is like a mural painting, what I do, I look at the cards that I like best, you know, the star card, the 3 of swords, the 10 of swords, the 9 of pentacles, the 9 of cups, the queen of swords, and I decide whether I like or not a deck depending on how they resonate with me, how much I recognize my way of reading into the way the artist has reproduced those cards. But when it's a collaborative deck like this one, to be honest with you, that's not the first thing that I would do. I would definitely look and try and see the differences of the art styles, for example. Are they cohesive or not? Do they express intention? And if they do, is it something that I can participate in? Is it a deck that is going to make me want to use it, or is it a deck that is going to be a bit too difficult for me to get into? Am I going to be able, by reading the guidebook, to do this kind of introspective work that I want to do, or is it something that it's beyond my achievement? No one is perfect, so you know, it's not about the deck, it's about you, it's about myself. Does it communicate? Oh, nice. I love this. So obviously we have messages coming out of these cards, and it's up to us to be able to understand the language of the cards. We need to understand it, we need to translate it back and read it back to others. When we transport the message back to someone we're reading for, we do it with a clear conscience. We need to understand everything correctly, otherwise our conscience will not be clear. If we don't feel what the message is, then, you know, it's part of our integrity as tarot readers to be able to say, sorry, but this message is a bit obscure for me. I need to pull more cards, or I need to redo the reading. In some cases, you know, it just doesn't resonate. And it also depends a lot on the decks. So that is something, a process of exclusion that I do whenever I'm selecting a deck I want to read with. I wonder, this card, Rebel of Spirals. So Rebel, Healer, Crone, and no, sorry, so this one, Student, so obviously Page, Rebel, so that's the Knight of Spirals. You know what, I'm curious, I have to read. So Rebel of Spirals, so we saw the spirals after the flowers, and we've got the Rebel. Image description, a police car is engulfed in flames, yes, I can see that. The flames reach skyward and the smoke curls into a spiral, the sky is wet and grey, large dark red roses. Yes. bloom around the burning copper. While the student of spirals is overwhelmed with ideas and energy, the rebel channels this fire into strategic material action. So definitely the fire, suit of fire, so the suit of wands. The rebel of spirals knows that nurturing the world we most want to live in is an intergenerational, cross-continental and multi-dimensional process. Okay, big words, but I get the concept. So it's basically all-encompassing. Staying focused on what is hers to bear, the rebel of spirals has mastered how to say no to anything that will interrupt the process. Well, okay, that's very powerful. Absolutely. So for the rebel, abolition is not a mere concept, but an embodied daily accountability practice. Absolutely. As Ruth Wilson Gilmore says, abolition is building the future from the present in all of the ways that we can. Get strategic. What do you need to set on fire because it cannot be fixed? Wow. What needs the gentle tending of breath? I can definitely see the strength of the suit of fire, and combined with the dynamic essence of the knights. It's a very powerful card, and I reckon though that because it's a corporation, not all of the cards will be just as powerful, and so it does create a little bit of a cognitive dissonance between what my expectations of this deck are and what the actual cards will tell me, which is fine. I just need to get into the right space of mind in order to be able to let's say work with it in the best possible way. Let me see the Queen of Healer of Blades. Okay. See, that's interesting. So the suit of blades is a little bit more peepish, not peep, but peepish, let's say, with the images in black and white, for example, although I love this Six of Blades, it's so beautiful. In any case, it's a very interesting deck, and I don't want to say anything anymore because I feel like I'm missing a lot of information. So obviously I need to do my research, I need to do my studying of the deck, and I'm very excited about this. But that was actually it for today. I know it's a very long video, so thank you so much if you're still here with me. I really do appreciate you so much. And well, that's it for today. See you next time.